Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to today's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the podcast. You're in for a treat. Today on the podcast, we have the nicest comedian, the sweetest comedian, a nice smile all around, a sweetheart, Niko Jordan. Welcome to the podcast, sir.
Thanks for welcoming me into your home. This is awesome.
You're a very sweet person.
Thank you.
You said to say something very nice, say something sweet about you. And I thought, you know what? That's true to brand.
Yeah. Am I sweet? I don't know, dude. I think I'm getting meaner in my day.
Really?
As I get older, I'm getting very grumpy. Life's
just getting to you.
Yeah, I think I'm taking people for granted. I don't like people as much.
Really?
Yeah. That's a bad sign, right?
I mean, unless it's coming from a place of you're someone younger who happens to be a very nice person by nature, and you're tired of people taking advantage of you. And you're like, no, I have boundaries now. I'm not going to just give in to, people's will. Is that what it is? Or is it more of you like this, like get off my lawn kind of stuff?
I think more the latter.
Yeah.
Not get off my lawn, but just like, sometimes it just seems easier to not deal with human interaction.
Well, this has been a great podcast. Thanks for coming.
Oh shit.
I know what you mean though.
Sometimes I'm like, and I don't even live in the city of Austin really. Like I'm somewhere in between Kyle and Austin, like suburb wise.
Okay.
But just going into Austin and going to open mics and city vibes and stuff, sometimes, I don't know, just lately I've been having thoughts of like, being more remote. Is that why you're out here in Kyle?
1000%.
Yeah.
I am, and I'd hate to use such a millennial term, but like an extroverted introvert where I can't be in the move and in the hustle and bustle for a long time. It drains me. Yeah. So I need to like always come home to it's like a sanctuary.
Yeah. Come home, rub one out.
Whatever you got to do.
What you got to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like the option of being able to go into a city because you don't want to be so far out in the sticks where you're just like, it's nice to have that culture and be able to go to big events and stuff like that. But
yeah, it's like, it's just balance.
Yeah.
And because I think I actually just met someone recently who was from New York. They were so hustle and bustle that they were almost antsy to be around, where it was like they had too much of the energy.
Right.
So you need to balance it out where they can't sleep unless there's really loud music playing and everything because it's just like too much stimulation.
Yeah. And that's not good. I don't think that's not natural to us as human beings. Like we're animals. We're supposed to definitely be closer to the person in the woods than the person in New York City. Yeah. That's but you could say that our brains developed maybe to be more New York City like, but I still think a lot of people forget that we're monkeys.
Yeah. And that could honestly, because did you move from a big city or where'd you move from?
Suburbs of Los Angeles.
Oh, okay.
So
what part? I'm from California too.
Santa Clarita.
Oh, hell yeah. Is that how you know Maddie?
No, but kind of. I met him here and we put it together that we were both from the same place and we have mutual friends and stuff like that.
661, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm from Palmdale. I'm from over the hill. The Elephant Graveyard.
The Dirty Dale.
Of Santa Clarita.
Damn.
That's random that we're all ending
What's better, Palmdale or Lancaster? Is there beef?
No. Palmdale knows its place. No. I'm from actually right next to it, Quartz Hill. I don't know if you know Quartz Hill. Yeah. But no one in the world knows what that is. So I always say Palmdale because there's at least the Afro Man song that everybody kind of knows.
Oh, is that in there?
Palmdale, come back to me. I need you and I love you, baby.
Yeah. Yeah, Palmdale. That's a different world and stuff.
It really is.
Quartz Hill, though, that you went to Quartz Hill High?
I did.
Yeah. We would play them in football and stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
What high school did you go to?
Valencia High, same as Maddie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think we must have been in the same. I would always hear the name Quartz Hill.
Yeah, I think it was the same division. But the reason why I ask is wondering if Austin is a switch for you. Where is it busier in Austin than it is where you grew up?
Yeah.
I think that has something to do with it, because I know when, like in New York, I feel like the more people are congregated, you care less about people's individual needs.
So that is partly true. Yeah.
Like, have you ever been on a hike or camping and you come across someone in a trail and you haven't seen people for a while and you're like, hey, how's it going? But if you're on a busy street and you guys are, there's tons of people, you're not even paying attention to who's there.
Dude, that's my thought is like, I'm like, if I go live in the woods by myself and I do, you know, Naked and Afraid, or what's the other one where they're really alone? Is it called Alone? Do you know that show?
Yeah. It's Alone.
I just feel like I would gain so much appreciation for people when I come back, and I would, you know, I would long for that connection. And I feel like maybe that'd be good.
Yeah.
Have you ever one time I wanted to go like camping just by myself and really turn the noise off.
Yeah.
Go inward and just see what that's like. Even like
you say go inward?
Inward.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I mean, you could out in the woods, you could do whatever.
Yeah. But, if you're racist in the forest and no one hears it, is it really racist?
Yeah.
It's like that tree falls in the forest. I don't know.
Well, if you get eaten,
yeah,
you'll find out.
Have you ever done that, or is just a thought like you want to?
But I remember saying it, and my dad was like, "That's weird. Like, go camping like you should be with people. Like, why do you want to be alone?"
See, I think that's just a different generation. Because I mean, I couldn't talk to my dad about that. I'd be like, I want to go find myself. My dad would be like, what the fuck? Like my dad was raised in Brooklyn with 16 brothers and sisters. He's like, I'm trying to fucking survive.
He's like,
trying
to find you. You're right here.
He'd be like, get a fucking job. You're over here.
Get a mirror.
Yeah. No, it would be a silly joke like that. But
so have you ever spent a lot of time alone? Have you ever been out in a remote setting like that?
I have. When I went to college in Puerto Rico, and there was a period of time.
Back to your roots?
Back to my roots, baby. There was a time when I didn't have internet, I didn't have a TV, and I kind of lived my life in a wild way where it was like, I still had connections to people, but when I was home, I would like read, and I was really home in the moment. I wasn't really like, I would have to go to Starbucks if I wanted to do any kind of emails or anything like that.
Was that the norm where you were at?
No, some people had Wi-Fi and stuff like that, but it was just, I kind of disconnected from social media, anything like that. I wasn't really doing it.
What year is this?
This was like 2011. Yeah. So it was like, it felt really good, and my days were really structured where I enjoyed like having breakfast, and then like I'd ride a bicycle to the gym, like work out and like do stuff, and then I'd go home. So it was like once I was home, I was completely alone, and it was like good like that. Like I was able to think, but never like an extended period of time where it was like a week or something like that. I could see benefits of it.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm wondering if like being in a place like Puerto Rico, if you don't, I mean, part of it is your phone, but also being in a place like Austin where there's all this happening. And I'm sure it feels like that exponentially in New York or LA, where you just feel like, everybody's doing cool shit. There's like almost like pressure to like keep up with your surroundings.
Almost.
Right.
Yeah.
But now with TikTok and shit, we got it. Wherever you go, you can be in Puerto Rico, and if you have Wi-Fi, you're like, oh shit, I'm not there. Yeah. I'm a fucking loser.
Yeah. Do you deal with that with social media where you're like, oh, I should?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I want to like every single day almost, I'm like, I just want to not do social media anymore. Yeah. I just don't want to do it. I think it's bad.
Yeah, for sure. It's also, I look at social media now, and I bet you are as well, where it's almost like something that you use as a tool for like stand up, where it's like something you use for that. Like I don't really put my personal life on there or anything.
Same.
And don't look at it like that. But I get caught in the FOMO of like, oh, this is happening and that's happening. And so
Right.
like I'll disconnect. Like I don't sleep with my phone in the same room, like that kind of stuff where it's like, it definitely I don't think is good. You know?
Yeah.
We haven't evolved fast enough to be able to adapt to it.
Right. Yeah. It's going faster than our brains can keep up with.
Do you limit your exposure with your phone?
Yeah, like I'll delete my Instagram app and stuff, and then I'll re-download it, and you know, I don't know, but it's just kind of unavoidable if that's what you're trying to pursue or that's what you're doing.
Yeah.
You know, you kind of got, it's like, are you doing it or not? I mean, you can make limits, I guess, throughout the day, and that's probably healthy. But I feel like at some point I'll just be like, no more at all.
Yeah.
But maybe not.
So do you sleep with it in the room? Like you have your phone on your nightstand? Like, are you going to bed looking at it?
Yeah, because I use it for an alarm to wake up, you know?
Right.
But I don't look at it like in bed before I go to sleep. Really.
Yeah.
But I feel like slowly over time I've gotten better at it. But also with like getting into stand-up and podcasting and trying to make a brand or whatever, as you invest more time in it, you have like a new perspective. Like, because the first 20 whatever years of my life, I was just, you know, I wasn't even using social media that much. Like, I didn't really give a shit until I started being like, okay, now I'm going to use this as a tool to promote myself.
That makes sense.
So it's like now I'm like a baby in the social media space, you know? Like, I feel like I've only been like a content creator for like 2 years, you know?
But listen, you already have a video that has 1 million views.
I'm rich and famous, you
Dude,
know? It's
congratulations, honestly.
hey,
man.
you know, it's like, I like to make time for people.
I appreciate you coming and blessing us.
I know. Because I could be I mean, I got a private jet now. So just don't expect this. Like, I probably won't come back. I probably won't talk to you after this. But I did my part.
I understand.
Thank
You gave back. Maddie was telling me last night we're doing spots and he comes up like he looked tired. His eyes bloodshot. And he's like, yeah, man, look at this. Fucking, I don't know, man. It's just going fucking crazy.
Yeah, because dude, he's worse than me about it. He's a crackhead. Just refresh.
I kept catching him at Little Woodrow's. I'd walk him by like, bro, I see what you're doing. Cause he's
bad,
like,
dude.
Cause
that's
like
not good.
Every time you see new hearts, just a little dopamine drip. He's like a little fucking mouse in the lab on the fucking getting his liquid cocaine, you know, with a little mouse with a hat on. That's Maddie right there.
Yeah.
Little sunburn.
Dude, that's the other thing too. I was talking to Matt about, you know, this clip or whatever that got a bunch of attention for whatever reason. And there's like no rhyme or reason, you know, we're like, we never thought this was our best clip or whatever. Certain stuff just does better. But like, there's part of it that feels good. But there's also this part of it that's like, I don't like it. Like, I don't like this like attention, this like disconnected attention or like comments from random people. There's part of me that likes it, but then there's part of me that doesn't like that I like it. It's like this weird, I haven't been able to pinpoint it exactly. Yeah. But like, yeah, even interacting online and stuff, it makes me feel weird in a sense. Cause it feels like, the more time I like invest in that, it's like rewarding myself too much or like investing too much thought in something that I don't really deserve. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
There is definitely a weird disconnect because it could be like you don't know if you deserve that. It was weird. I had a video go like viral, like over 1 million, and it was very odd. But I treated it like whatever. These numbers don't, like, I've changed the way I look at content. I have it on a checklist. I put it out. If it does good, great. If it does bad, great. Whatever. Like, don't let the highs get you too high and the lows get you too low.
Right.
Because there'll be stuff like I have a background in like filmmaking. Like, that's where I came from. And not like Spielberg shit, but like, I would work so hard on 1 3-minute video. We're talking filming for weeks, writing, shooting, different locations, all this stuff. And it would get 0 traction. I'm like, I put so much effort into this and it got nothing. And then I would film something with my phone that I thought, 30 seconds. I was like, oh, this would be, I do it. And it's like 100,000 views. I'm like, none of this makes sense. So I think like as a content creator, almost accepting that it doesn't make sense and just creating what you enjoy and what you think is funny is the only way to do it. Right. Because I see people who do put stuff out and get very upset when it doesn't do well, you know? So I think it's just a way to keep you even.
Yeah, but it's like I said, I'm a baby in this space, so it's hard not to.
You're a tall baby.
Yeah.
Sorry to derail that, but it was just the only place I could see to stick it.
It's okay.
Yeah.
There's a. It's hard to not, you know, to put time into something and then you're like, oh, this is dog shit or whatever, or you know, you just naturally think that something's better because other people like it or whatever. And that's kind of like one of the, you could look at it as good or bad things about stand-up comedy or comedy in general, is that it's an art form that's like based on the laughter. Yeah. It's like, it's very different than like painting or making music. It's like so much about the feedback. Like it doesn't mean anything unless people are laughing at it. Yeah. Which I don't know if that's the healthiest either, to like spend so much time working on something. And you could say that, you know, it's just for me, or I think whatever's I'm funny, but subconsciously you're trying to format it for people's consumption. Whereas like, I remember growing up, like before comedy, I would spend so much time like producing music or drawing pictures and stuff. And I feel like you still get that with comedy. If you're writing jokes out, you can feel good about something, but then you take it on stage and they're like dead. You're like, okay, that's shit. Yeah. Whereas like other art forms that you could go off into the woods and paint a picture. You can't really do that with comedy as much. Yeah. You always, this is another realization I had recently. I was like, okay, stand-up comedy, am I always going to anchor myself to people? Like I can't, like if I want to do stand-up comedy, I got to have access to a stage. Right. Always. Like I could never really leave the city. Like it's like forever.
I'm depressed now. No.
But there's great things about that. But I had a realization recently. I was like, do I want that forever? When if I'm 50 years old, am I still going to have, you know, the same energy about going out at midnight and being like, kids, wife, good night, I'm going out. Yeah. It's hard to know. Maybe you shouldn't think about that. Maybe you should just live in the moment. But
see, well, this is what's good because you're a philosophical man. You are. And
it's supposed to be a comedy podcast.
It's supposed to be whatever. People love these conversations on the podcast. I get feedback when shit gets real. And
really?
Yeah, it's not all about just jokes.
I can get realer. Should I go darker? More depressed?
No, realer doesn't mean darker, bro. But
I can cry. You want me to cry?
Maybe. Let's see if we get there. That is true. And you are a deep thinker. And I think that's great when it involved in creativity, because I think about stuff like that too. And all it means is that you're looking ahead, which is smart, and also looking at where an art form is going. And the great thing about being a creative person at this time is that it's so fractal. Like you can go in so many different directions within comedy and entertainment. Like you can create your own remote thing. There's this kid on TikTok. All he does is he does these weird like movements in the store. Big Guy LLC. I don't know if you've ever seen him on TikTok. I don't know why it's funny, but he asks strangers to hold his phone. And he's like, hey, I'm gonna make a video for my parents real quick. Can you film me? And he just does these weird, like awkward things. It's entertaining. He has 1.2 million followers. Like he's just doing weird shit. So I think you just figure out what works for you. Like I think there's so many different comedians and so many different areas you can go with it to where you can carve out whatever works for you. Cause I think about that. I want to have kids one day and, you know, have like
you got a fiance, you're engaged.
Bam. Yeah. Yeah. And that's something you think about is, how is this sustainable? I don't want to be someone who's out 4 nights a week in a different city and doing that. So I'm like, I have to build everything else around that, podcasting, videos, and all of that, so I can balance it out to where I'm not doing that. And will the live stuff suffer? Probably. I think when it comes down to numbers of like, if you're a road comic and you're doing 4 nights, different cities, and bam, 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 this is all you're doing, you're going to fucking be so sharp at that particular facet of it.
Right.
But it's like when it comes to podcasting and videos and other forms of content, it might be better to monetize it in a different way, you know?
Yeah.
And I don't think one's wrong and one's right. You know, it's whatever works it's an individual sport.
Yeah, but you're so right that you know, it's kind of beautiful in a way that we have the option to put our time into what we want. But it's also overwhelming sometimes because like if you think about getting into comedy 20, 30 years ago or something, it was like, well, everybody just did stand-up comedy until some producer plucked you out and said, okay, you're ready. You can come and do the TV show. There was none of this. Yeah. It was the only option.
Yeah.
And you just had to put your head down for years until something broke. But there's something nice about that aspect too, where it's not like, but this is better.
It's more simple to think about it in like one direction. It is overwhelming because as a comedian now, you kind of have to do everything. You're someone who does all the clips for your podcast, and there's so much behind the scenes that you have to do. I like now as a creative person because it seemed like comedians were almost against each other back in those days when you're trying to go for a sitcom. Right. Like it just felt like a toxic environment to, you know, you weren't looking at someone as a potential friend that you guys could collaborate. It was like, you look kind of like me. You might take that fucking sitcom. Yeah.
And now pretty much, you know, all the big comedians that people look up to, they created their own podcasts. So it's like anybody could do it.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
If you weren't doing comedy, what do you think you would be doing? Can we talk about what you do for work?
Yeah, we could talk about it.
Okay. What do you do for work, Niko?
Right now, I'm a substitute teacher.
How's that going?
It's ups and downs.
Is that why you don't like people anymore?
Maybe that could be, honestly, I could just have a skewed perspective from being, maybe it's just kids that I don't like.
So you're around, well, that would make sense. You're around people, is it 8 hours a day?
Yeah.
And it's constantly overstimulation of a bunch of people coming in and leaving?
Yeah.
Dude, that really could be.
They never stay?
They never stay. It was real for them. Wow. What grade?
Today was 6th grade, middle school, but yeah, I'll go middle school or high school. Try to do high school if I can. But
really? Hotter chicks? Just kidding. Don't answer that as your legal advisement.
Yeah, it's no, it's just the younger kids are, the more fucking crazy they can be. Yeah. Shit in their pants.
You've dealt with that?
Piss on the ceiling.
Wait, piss on the ceiling?
I don't think I've dealt with either of those.
That's impressive.
Just like, you know, little kids are fucking...
They're gross.
Yeah, dude.
They're still exploring their bodies and just figuring out what works and what doesn't.
High schoolers, for the most part, most of them, like if you give them the freedom, they'll just like go on their phone, shut up and not bother people. But like, you know, middle school and younger, they're like, they get fidgety. They want to like throw something. They want to go up and just flick a kid and like...
Flick a kid.
They're just... Yeah. So I'm doing that just to get by right now.
Do you have a degree in that?
No. Well, I have a degree in econ, economics.
Oh, okay.
But then, so yeah, like I was going to school for economics. I thought I'd get into like something business wise, maybe finance or accounting or something like that. And then towards the end of school, I was like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to work in an office. Yeah. And then, I guess the wheels started turning about comedy and stuff like that. And then I only finished my degree because I had 1 year left and my parents are like, just finish and then do whatever you want. Yeah. And so now I'm doing whatever I want somewhat. But I'm trying to be you. I want to be a filmmaker like you.
Really?
Yeah. Can you hire me?
I mean, we could talk about it off air. We can get you some experience for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, man. We can figure it out.
Dude.
Put me on the spot on the podcast. What am I going to say? No.
Well, you wouldn't be the first. So I'm used to no's.
So you want to actually do filmmaking and stuff like that?
Yeah. I just feel like that's like in these past 2 years while I've been substitute teaching and working on comedy, the only real skill that I kind of have is like, I film my podcasts, I edit, I've done a little bit of sound and production and stuff. So that's the only kind of thing that I could see myself doing,
Yeah. And you produce music as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm trying to pivot away from substitute teaching and maybe I could, that's the other thing. The only real reason I even started doing my own podcast, I just realized this the other day. I was like, oh, that's fun. Like you forget, you've done 270 podcasts or something.
Mm-hmm. Something like that.
That's insane.
Yeah.
But like when you get into a rhythm of like doing something, you forget why you even started sometimes. At least I do. And I realized just a few days ago, I was like, oh yeah, the only reason I did comedy is because I wanted to do a podcast. And the only reason I did a podcast is because I wanted to work on a podcast. Like this all stemmed from like at the end of school, like getting into podcasting and be like, oh, I want to help produce a podcast.
Yeah.
Well, I don't have any experience. Okay. I guess I got to make my own.
So you said, I want to do a podcast. Let me just jump in the comedy to figure it out.
Well, my other thought was like, nobody wants to listen to me do a podcast, right? All the podcasts I listen to are comedians and that's why they're interesting. So then I was like, all right, let me try stand-up comedy.
That is hilarious. Yeah. That's amazing. I actually have never heard somebody say, I got a comedy to do podcasting. Yeah. You actually have one of the most unique podcasts. The idea of it, not your one with Maddie, but what is it? What is it called?
The Canoe Cast.
The Canoe Cast.
Yeah.
It is a podcast where Niko goes out on Lady Bird Lake and he in a canoe and he does a podcast from a canoe.
Yeah.
So was that your idea? You're like, let me just get a canoe. Were you like, this is different? Or are you a canoeer?
I started doing my podcast just audio only, like when COVID first started. Like I had an idea to do a podcast forever, but just put it off because I was scared. And then COVID happened and I was like, all right, I got nothing to do.
Yeah.
Let me start a podcast. And so it was just audio, which was mostly how I consumed my own podcasts that I listened to. I never really watched them, so I didn't care. And I just started interviewing my friends and stuff for the first 20 or so. And then when I moved to Austin, I was like, I should start doing a video element. Like people were telling me to, like, you should film it. And then, but actually during COVID, because times were so weird, I was doing most of them outside in my backyard.
Yeah.
And I liked that element because I was like, this is kind of nice. Like I'm outdoors. It feels a little different. I was like, it probably looked kind of cool if I filmed it out here. Yeah. And then I think moving here and seeing the lake and going out, I went out with my girlfriend, like one of the first weeks we moved here. And I was like, yeah, I should record out here.
You guys moved from Santa Clarita?
Yeah, we moved to Reno and then COVID happened. So we moved back to Santa Clarita with our parents for a little bit. And then we were tired of living at our parents' house. We're both from Santa Clarita as well.
Yeah.
I've been with my girlfriend since high school.
Oh.
High school sweetheart.
That's beautiful.
My sweetie pie.
Shout out to the sweetie pie.
Yeah.
Yeah. How is it interviewing people on a canoe?
It's good. Here's the thing is like, you get used to like, I could take pauses whenever because we're outdoors, there's shit happening. So like the amount of silence feels less awkward when you're outdoors and you're on a canoe and you're trying to paddle. If we don't talk for a couple seconds, it feels natural. And I just clip that out.
Oh, so you go through and edit out the silence? Okay.
I mean, if it's a really long type thing. And usually, I mean, shit happens. Like, yeah, So I get used to that. I mean, do you edit this at all?
Only when people request burps out of it. That's the only time. I try to not edit it as much as possible. Probably out of just not wanting to edit it. Because if I had a full production team, I probably would be multicam, different angles for each person.
Yeah.
Videos with graphics in the video. But since it's just me editing and I'm like, I have to make this time efficient.
Yeah.
I just try to keep it a conversation going.
Yeah, that's the other hard part too. It's like how much, especially when there's like the emphasis to do one a week, you know, it's like you can't kill yourself over it.
Yeah. And I was doing 2 a week for most of the episodes. We're usually Monday and Wednesdays.
Damn.
So it was like I was editing a couple. But
do you still like doing it?
Yeah.
Different. I mean, when did you start? 3 years ago? 4 years ago?
Right before COVID.
Okay.
Is where it started.
And do you have what have you learned in all of these episodes? How do you feel? Honestly,
I have a really good like listener base in the sense of like the people who started listening early on listened because they, I guess, knew me or enjoyed it. But then like there's certain people like where I'll say things and people will reach out because like some of them do get serious, the episodes, and we say real shit. We keep it real here.
Like this one?
Yeah.
Real recognize real.
Real recognize real day, you know, at the end of the day. But I almost feel like obligated to be honest on the podcast, and like the more vulnerable stuff, if you're the more honest you are, people resonate with that. So it became almost like a therapeutic thing, because when I would say something that like might have been embarrassing to me or like a weird insecure feeling or thought that I was like, I don't know if I want to say this, fuck it, I'll say it because maybe someone else feels this way. I would say it, and then if someone reached out and they were like, hey, when you were talking about this, I really love this. Like it made me feel really good because I was like, oh, we have a connection. There's other people that feel like this.
Hey, I like sucking toes too.
Dude.
I'm there with you. What's the weirdest thing you said?
Not even like that kind of stuff. Like nothing goes there.
Oh, I thought you were getting people to relate with your sexual kinks. That's where my mind went.
Do you really like sucking toes?
Do I like it? I like the feeling that it gives someone. I like providing I like putting myself through something to give somebody else pleasure. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
you're a
about
giver.
that.
That's what the theme of this episode has been, is that you're a giver.
Oh yeah, dude, I'll give it. I'll take it, whatever you need.
Whoa, damn, you're a rider.
Yeah.
Better put a ring on him.
People don't realize that taking is sometimes giving. Sometimes you gotta give to take or take to give. Sometimes both people don't want to take, and then the taker's the giver.
Dude,
It's beautiful.
that was poetry right there.
Thank you.
You got into that.
Wait, so what kind of things did you get like depressed or abused, or did you parents are divorced, or?
No, it was more of, if we want to talk about serious stuff, like I had a brother pass away when I was young, and that was really hard. So it's like I've gone through some, and there's like, I think everybody goes through hard stuff in life. So there's like the initial thing of where you try to act like it doesn't bug you. And you're like, yeah, you put up this wall. You're like, I'm fucking cool. I'm fine. And then you're like,
Tough.
Yeah. And then you're like, why am I having this weird anxiety 5 years later where you're having panic attacks and like stress and stuff like that. And I always think there's like a catalyst in people's life where they experience something. Everybody's trauma is different, you know? And I think there's like, everybody goes through that and it's in different shapes. So when you just go through anything hard, people can relate to it. And when you admit that you've been through stuff that's hard and that you didn't always handle it perfectly, there's like solace in that, where people feel comfort and they're like, oh, well, you know, it's okay if you fuck up every now and then, you know?
Yeah, that's cool. Sometimes, sometimes I feel like my life is actually really easy, and I haven't gone through any like tough shit. So like sometimes, but I still have bad feelings, and I'm still like, stuff affects me. But I feel like if I presented that to people, they'd be like, what the fuck are you, like, you know, my brother died. Like, why are you complaining about you don't have the right job, or you're, you know, you're not as good at comedy as you'd like to be, or your podcast only got 1 million views this time. You know, like sometimes I feel bad about
Not
feeling bad when my life, if I look at it objectively, is pretty good. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. And this is something that, you know, being someone that went through something hard young, there was a period of time where I had resentment, you know, because I was going into sophomore year in high school. I remember going to school after that summer and looking at other kids who were just living their life, and it pissed me off. Like I got into so many fights. Like I got into boxing to like deal with all that. But I would start fights just because I was so angry. And I was like, why do these people get to be normal kids? And kind of like I had an edge to me. But it was wrong. It wasn't the right way to handle that because I didn't handle it healthy. So like I always look at people's life now that no matter what, whatever the hardest thing that you've been through is the hardest thing you've been through. Like it's still a struggle. It's still on their barometer, something that's hard. So like I never disqualify what people consider hard. So like if someone has anxiety or stress or they're depressed and on paper, they're like, I don't think this was that hard. Like, it doesn't matter if it just appears that way. Like they're still experiencing hardship.
Right. Yeah, I just got a puppy and it's been really hard. I swear to God. Like if I'm being honest, like
Niko, fuck this. Never mind. I'm just kidding.
Dude, like I can't even tell people. Like sometimes it bums me out that I have this puppy. Like I get so frustrated, you know, like
you get frustrated with the puppy?
Well, or just having to deal. Like I know she's a dog and stuff, and so I just get mad at that. I like have to take care of her and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
Sometimes, yeah, I just want to be more selfish.
Were you able to be selfish when you were young?
Yeah, probably. I mean, that's probably why it's hard.
Yeah.
You know, it's like learning to, and I'm sure people get it on a higher level when they have a kid or whatever. And you're like, okay, I can't go and do all the stuff that I want to do. Yeah. And so this is like a microscopic level. But when you first get a puppy, you've got to pay attention to it a lot. Yeah. And there's certain sacrifices or like, it feels so ridiculous. Oh, shit. This is my trauma. Yeah.
But if I'm being honest with you, that's something that you're having to learn older.
Right.
That's something that you're having to go through. And if you didn't experience hardship when you were younger, it's still a hard thing to be your age and have to be like, fuck, I have to stop being selfish. I have to learn how to sacrifice for these things.
Right.
At an older age where you're almost starting to get set in your ways. Like you're starting to get, I don't know, it's almost a flip side of where it's like I don't think this is you at all. Cause I know you work hard. I know you have goals and you're working towards things, but there's like people who have like trust funds and stuff like that, their life is set completely. They almost have the hardest life because they'll never feel like they accomplished anything.
Right. I always think that. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, those people have their own version of a struggle. So I don't know. I guess my whole view of things is just like everybody is on their own path. Like they're writing their own story and figuring it out.
I got a question for you. So how long have you been fiancéed?
We've been fiancéed for a year and a half now.
Wow, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
So are you going to get married soon or you know?
Yep, December.
Whoa, where are you going to go?
We're actually looking at either Wimberley or there's this ranch in San Marcos, actually.
Shit, are you nervous?
Yeah, it's a big life change.
Yeah, so my question is it hard balancing a relationship as it gets more serious, especially with like your career goals and like what you're passionate about as far as like stand-up comedy and podcasting and all that stuff?
It's a great question. I am very lucky. And I only say that because I don't know.
Because you have to. You can't say I'm unlucky.
It's like I have someone that's very understanding in what I want to do. And I'm my best version of myself when I'm getting to fulfill the things that I want to do. Like when I'm focused on Like especially when we first moved to Austin and I wasn't getting to do stand up as much, I was still learning the lay of the lands. I get cranky and I'm just like, I'm not getting fulfillment off doing stand up. So she's like, you got to go do stand up, like go do something, you know? I'm pretty disciplined with structure. So I just, cause I'm balancing doing video production and like an actual career that pays money, stand up, which pays little. It's not anything I could live off of. And then having like a fully functional relationship where in the next few years, we're going to start having kids. Wow. So it's like, I know. So it's like, it is stress where it's like, I'm trying to build all these things at the same time. And I have to have like really be focused on all of them. But I'm also someone who I don't like just chilling. Like I'm not really let me lounge around and watch like a season on Netflix kind of guy. I like to do like activities. We're both pretty similar we both like structure and schedules. Oh, yeah. Like even right before you got here, she was writing what shows in October. I was like what on the calendar, just so everything's organized. So like we're both very like scheduled, like comedy shows that I have booked for October.
She's booking them?
No. So I was telling her, because she's like, well, what weekends do you have shows in October?
I see.
So I was like that. And then she put them, and then she also, she works with me on my video business. Oh, so really? She writes in the meetings and she writes in like the schedule. Okay, well, you're not free this time, blah, blah, blah. So it's like, we're a team. Like that's the number one thing in a relationship is just, you both are looking in the same direction.
That's dope.
Yeah. I mean, how long you been with your girlfriend? It's been a while.
7 years.
You're in that same boat, you know?
Yeah.
And there are struggles. Like when you've been in a relationship longer than 5 years, there's no getting around struggles and having fights and disagreements and stuff like that.
She hitting you?
Dude, all the fucking time. She's more of a choker. Like she likes to fucking, and she'll like a lot of threats, like where they grab you by the hair and they're like, I'll fucking kill you and they'll throw me a parade, you know?
Yeah. That's cool.
How do you balance it?
I'm figuring it out. I'm like slowly figuring it out. I think one of the biggest things too is like, because I don't know about you, but I was with my girlfriend before stand-up comedy, before podcasting. Same. So like, yeah, a lot of this stuff has come along the way. Like it's, you know, I'm not the same person that was advertised. Right. You know what I'm saying? At the beginning of, neither of us were like, you know, high school, you're different people. So it's like growing together is the thing. But, I don't think it's ideal for anybody to date a stand-up comedian who's going out every night, you know, 8 p.m. to midnight. Yeah. Like no girl wants that. Yeah. Ideally, you know, she wants you to follow your dreams and do what you're passionate about. And my girlfriend's awesome and she's the best and has never told me like, you can't go to that or you need to spend more time with me or whatever. But I know that there's times where she'd rather me not. Yeah. But the biggest thing is like, finding the balance and being intentional with my time. So that's like when we are spending time together, not being on my phone or like half hanging out or whatever, but just like put a lot into those moments and like be there and make those moments special. Because like you can hang out with someone all day or you can be with someone all day and not really hang out, you know? Yeah. Like you can just be watching TV or doing your own things, but you're around each other. You can really get way more out of something if you're like this, like us talking for 1 hour face to face like this is a lot. Yeah. This is way more than if we just hung out randomly all the time. Yeah. Or if we were at a bar and there's loud music and we're like getting to know each other. There's nothing gained from that. Just like, how'd your brother die? At a bar. No, that's honestly, and that's the thing is like being really structured with your time and just quality time. Quality time is key in a relationship. Yeah. Where it's just like you can spend all day with someone, but you're just on your phone and constantly doing this. You're just like, you know, but I mean, that's just, you're a philosophical man, you know, you're a thinker. Have you always been this way? I think so. Yeah. Yeah. I think. Were you a sweet kid? Did you have girlfriends growing up? No.
No?
Well, those are two different questions. I think I was sweet. I think I was like emotional as like a little kid, and I don't know, things affected me, or I don't know. I think.
Yeah.
But I think as time has gone on, and podcasting helps with that. I've been able to like express myself more and like not be afraid to like. That's one of the great things about doing comedy and podcasting. Like I'm not as afraid to like speak what's on my mind or say how I'm feeling or put this out there. Like if this was me in high school, I'd be shitting my pants like, oh fuck.
Really?
Who's going to see this or what are they going to like? Yeah, I was so closed off from being myself, you know? I think I was the same person. I just didn't always put that out. And slowly over time, I've learned to give less of a fuck.
I love that. Podcasting definitely does that. One thing that it helped me is I did a ton of solo episodes where I would have topics and kind of just talk. And I realized that was almost like therapeutic, like almost like journaling, where I would talk about a topic so much that I would come to a conclusion of it, where I'd be like, oh, like, yeah, like things would start making sense to me by just kind of working through them with the podcast.
Yeah, actually, before I started doing my podcast where I'd interview people, which became the Canoe Cast, I wanted to be in podcasting so bad, but I didn't know how to start, or like I was embarrassed because I had never like put anything out like that. So I was like, I just felt so insecure about like saying, hey, I'm starting a podcast. I'm going to that just killed me inside to think that, you know?
The internet is ruthless too.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But also no one was going to see it at first. Yeah. You know, this is like before things were really getting out in the algorithm the way they do now. I feel like I would have put it on YouTube. No one would have saw it except for my Instagram followers that I showed. But even that, like, you know, it's so funny. Like I put all this judgment on myself of like, what do my brothers think? What do my parents think? What do my, friends think? Like, even though they don't say shit, or like everybody to your face is like, that's awesome. This is cool that no one says like, what the fuck are you doing? But in my head, they're like thinking that as soon as they walk away, you know?
Yeah.
The demons.
Demons. His puppy, the demon.
But what I was going to say is I recorded a bunch of solo podcasts before I started podcasting and didn't do it. They're just like audio journals. Like I was like, let me try to get better at this before I even start doing it. And I would just record myself for an hour and just talk. Have you gone back and listened to them at all? I have, not in a bit. I mean, these are from probably like 4 or 5 years ago. Okay. And sporadically I've recorded some more. I want to start doing it more consistently because it's just like journaling. It gets you better at talking. Yeah. But
Niko Jordan, what is your greatest fear?
That at the end of my life I'll be like, fuck, why did I do that?
Why did I do that?
Yeah, with like my life. That I'll be like, oh shit, like you should have done it this way. You spent time doing something else. Or like I'll have answers at the end. Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm always searching for like, what am I supposed to be doing? Even still, you know, and uncertainties and stuff. And that I'll never get into the pocket of being like, everything like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. You know? Yeah. Maybe that's not realistic, or maybe that's not meant to be, but I think it ties into like the social media thing and like seeing all the possibilities. It's like overload of like, you could do this. It's a lot of noise. Yeah. Like that's why I think one day I got to shut off from everything and just look at what's in front of me and be happy with that. Yeah. I think it's super sappy to be like the real journey is the adventure part of it. It's not the ending. Yeah. And it's like falling in love. That's what it is I literally stopped putting pressure on my life of being like reaching these destinations. It's just doing the things
of whatever I want to do. If I want to be a successful stand-up, successful filmmaker, just be a successful human altogether. Do daily tasks of what those people do and not worry about the results. And it's like, if you do that in life for long enough, you'll at least be going in the direction, you know, of
That's awesome.
I don't know.
But do you do stuff in your day-to-day life, or do you have activities that you don't really enjoy doing, but you're like, this will pay off in the end?
It's a gift and a curse, you know? What guy has ever finished jerking off and they're like, that was good. I'm proud of myself for that.
Yeah.
I like myself more, you know?
Yeah.
Is there
I mean, I was thinking like maybe the first time, but no, since day one, it's always been like, I didn't have to do that.
Yeah. It's just like, what are you doing? You ever done it in front of a mirror? Like you have a bathroom that faces the mirror and you just catch eyes with yourself and you're like, you're a fucking animal.
I think mirrors should be illegal, period. We're not supposed to see ourselves as humans.
Just expect randomly in a puddle of water, you kind of get an outline. Yeah. That's it, man.
But once in a while, we're not supposed to. I mean, that's what, dude, everyone's doing. I mean, God bless you if it's what you need to do, but the plastic surgeries and stuff, it breaks my heart a little bit when Brad Pitt, Tom Brady, these guys, like
Tom Brady's doing it.
I mean, that's the rumors out there, and I hate to be doing hearsays, but
who'd you hear
he looks from? My girlfriend actually said it the other day. She's like, oh, on social media they're saying Tom Brady had plastic surgery, and there was a rumor that he missed training camp that I heard before that because he was getting some work done because he didn't do it at all. And
he kisses his son on the mouth. I would expect that from him.
Yeah.
Did he get lip injections? He's like, my son doesn't want to hang out anymore with me. I gotta get him back.
I mean, if you look, if you look at him, he like, his face is like super skinny, and when he talks, he's like, he can barely like open his mouth kind of. He just looks very strange.
Yeah.
And if you look at the progression, I mean, it's hard to know or whatever, but it's, you could say the same on the, whatever Kardashians or whatever, like, the most beautiful people. You think these people everyone's still got insecurities and.
Yeah, it is pretty nuts. That's a weird one. I always think like, cause I remember when I would go to school in Puerto Rico, like my partying and like kind of college life was in clubs. Like it was a big club thing in Puerto Rico. And I would always see like people in their 40s and 50s, like in the club trying to be in their early 20s. And I was like, go home. Aren't you tired? Yeah. But like you would see the struggle of them trying to stay out and like trying to grasp onto that part of their life. And I'm like, it definitely is a void. And I'm sure I have insecurities that I try to overcompensate for. But the plastic surgery one is something that does make me sad because it's coming from a like, I'm not good enough with what I have to work with.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't knock anybody doing whatever they need to do. Yeah, it's just like, you would hope that everybody would feel good. And then, like, it's kind of a never-ending cycle, it seems.
Yeah.
No one, there's some people, they got a fucked up schnauzer and they just want to get a nose job maybe, and they've been made fun of their whole life or whatever. So maybe. But I feel like a lot, it's like, it's just there's always something to perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Niko Jordan, this has been a very philosophical episode.
Weird way to end.
Well, in full disclosure, we got to
Wait, what's your greatest fear? Can I ask that before we go?
My greatest fear is actually probably pretty similar to yours, is that I don't ask that question thinking I'm going to get asked back. I've never asked it's fucking Maddie here right now.
God damn it.
I fucking hate that guy.
God damn it,
dude. Maddie's the worst.
Did you say come in?
Dude, go ahead.
I didn't hear what you said. Oh, wait a minute.
All right, we're going to wrap this up right now. You do a podcast with that guy?
I'm trying to find an out. I don't know if I got to find a new co-host or if I got to find someone to replace me.
Dude, just take your dog and make him the other captain's dog, My greatest fear, but it is pretty similar to yours, is that I don't want to get to the end of my life with regrets. Not necessarily like, I think I'm going to be in comedy and entertainment and video for the rest of my life, but I'm not going to be glued to one facet of it. Like there's people who are just like, I'm just this and that's that. And I'm like, that's fine if you want to do that. But like, I want to do like expand. Like I always want to find new things and kind of like grow it. So I think as long as I'm going to have regrets if I get to the end of my life and I'm like, I quit. I knew I wanted to do something and I took the safe route. So that is my greatest fear, I think.
Yeah, you want to keep on developing and trying new shit and not get pigeonholed into one thing and always make it fun.
Yeah.
And not just doing it because that's what you've always done or whatever.
Yeah. I think that's probably my biggest thing is I like to just create, and I want to create new things and fun things and like challenge myself.
What's something on the horizon that you're looking at maybe soon or in the way future, like a big goal to like that you want to create?
I want to create a video series of going to different places in Texas, either experiencing that lifestyle or that food. And I want to find a way to fund it with sponsors, like to actually be able to monetize it and do almost like a season of going and experiencing these different things.
That'd be dope.
Thank you, Niko Jordan. Thank you for...
Dude, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope it was fun for you. Okay.
It was a lot of fun, dude.
Okay.
This is 70 minutes in heaven.
70 minutes in heaven, baby. Thank you for doing the podcast. It was a blast getting to know you. We've talked before, but never like this. We never have gotten this deep into each other.
Yeah. I'm a little scared.
Where can people find your stuff? Where can they listen to your podcast and just get to know Niko?
You can just follow me on Instagram at NikoJ, Nikoj, or follow my podcast with Maddie Stew at The Captain's Dogs. That's on YouTube as well. There's the Canoe Cast on YouTube. That's pretty much it. There's nothing else you need from me.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. And remember, no matter what, I still love you. Give him a kiss. Your girlfriend. That was a good one.
They'll throw some tongue in too.
Oh. Yeah, we'll edit that.